So welcome back to Inspiring Talks with Ilham, and this part is Inspire exclusive with Nadia-toni Jacobs, who's joining us all the way from the southern suburbs. Welcome to Inspire Elsie's Radio.
Thank you for having me, Ilham.
Welcome back. You a co-presenter, but we always zoom you in because Nadia's far away. She's in the retreat. That's sad, young. So thank you so much. So this week we're gonna be talking about we're speaking about anxiety, resilience, depression, and we were speaking about panic attacks. And so you said we need
Mm.
to kind of focus on anxiety this week, and so we're gonna do that. But you now said you made notes about other things also. But if we just quickly get into what is anxiety, anxiety is like your body's alarm system. This is according to research. It's meant to protect you, but sometimes it goes haywire, and you can have a mix of mental, emotional, and physical stuff, like mental stuff, racing thoughts, worst case scenarios. Emotionally, you feel overwhelmed and you feel fear and you feel unease. And then physically, your heart will race, you'll get sweaty palms, and your muscles can tense up. Is that accurate, Nadia?
That it's fairly accurate, although it differs from person to person. Anxiety or panic attacks can also mimic, like you spoke about the heart, so it can mimic a heart attack where you'll get a uh, pains across the chest, pains down the one arm underneath the heart, and so on. So there's a couple of things, yes, that it does, and like I say, it goes from person to person. Oftentimes, people that are spokespeople, one would think they are the people that has the most confidence, but they also go through, what they call the common stage fright, and they would stand there, they would start sweating profusely, clammy hands, or you have this, what has been explained as the tongue going thick. So it's almost like the dry mouth and the tongue feeling too thick to speak properly, or you shut down, like mentally, because your body's not adjusting fast enough. So mentally, based on your own perception and assumptions, you trigger one thing to the next thing. So what I'm trying to say is that automatically when you go into a panic attack, if you're doing a whole talk in front of 300 people and you go into a panic attack, oftentimes there's nothing around you that can help you calm down. So now everything is full blast, and your body, uh, for most of us, I think you go into survival mode, um, where the brain is trying to figure out what the body is doing, the body is trying to figure out what the brain is doing. But basically, it's almost like, um, some people explain it like a shock to the body.
Mm.
And
I
it,
think
it is,
also
if you look,
something
it's one way of looking at it.
we need to also maybe tell people that just because your mind is saying, like, your mind is working and you're always thinking, but doesn't mean your body is corresponding. And that's kind of what I'm thinking. What a panic attack is like your mind is racing and you trying to stay calm, but your body isn't listening to your mind. And so it's a very difficult thing because
Yeah.
you can be telling, like, okay, you're having racing thoughts, but you identify, okay, look, my body is going out of control. That's why they described it as going haywire. So like you in this mental state, but your physical state is not corresponding to your mental state. It must be very overwhelming. So like what is your approach to
It
treating
is,
anxiety?
and you get that.
Mm,
So the thing is, you need to first of all know where your anxiety is coming from, and again, for different people, it has that comes from different aspects. So if we look at one situation where you've gone through trauma, or you've gone through let's say, rape at a very young age, you've kept quiet, and now you in your 30s or 40s, you've developed anxiety, and nobody knows what you've gone through. A lot of the times, your body just shuts down. You don't know why it's happening, or you're getting angry and aggressive. Plus, you're having the panic attack, or you're getting anxiety as well. So, generally, a lot of the times, the people has some people has suicidal thoughts, or they land up in a hospital, and that's where they start peeling the layers, because they now are starting to understand what is making my body tick and what is my triggers. And it could be something as common as people talking about rape, and something triggers. So basically, when you understand where your triggers are coming from, it's easier to name them. And that is the important thing when to use resilience, or to become resilient, based on what you have gone through, is to name it, know where the anxiety is coming from and the triggers, but not letting it develop roots, right? So when I say don't let it develop roots, if you recognize your body starting to shake, your legs are shaking, you want to urinate, all of that at one go, and you know it is based on the fact that everybody was talking about the rape last night, then you name it. So, in other words, you're telling yourself, I know where it's coming from. And once I know where it's coming from, I now can find something to help me cope um, through that moments.
Mm. Yeah, so okay, so okay, that's a good example because that's a very traumatic thing that you went through or somebody goes through is being violated, and it happens more often than what we think. Are there any like things people can do naturally and therapies that
Yes.
you recommend that they can do in the moment? And like when you say name it, what do you mean? Like in that moment, what must you say? Like for that example, what would you do if you start feeling flustered and you start like you feel like okay, this could get worse and worse? Like what do you mean when you say name it?
So name it. Let's say you're in a setting, the most common setting for our society to be in is mostly at work.
Mm.
And so something comes up and you can feel what's coming on. So now you get up, if you don't get up, something's going to happen to you. You get up, you go to the bathroom, and now you're getting angry. So this is when the anger happens, and why you need to peel it away. You get angry because you don't know what the answers are, or you haven't asked the right questions. So asking the right questions is about where it's coming from. Once you know where it's coming from, you can name it. You can say, okay, I got upset, I got angry, but what was it? So you move back to your critical thinking. Okay, I smelled that or I tasted that, and that is what reminded me of my rape. So, as horrible and as ugly as it sounds, for you as a person to understand what you're going through, you need to name what you're feeling, and then you can say, so you don't let it stay with you. You then say, but I'm not going through the rape at the moment. I'm not carrying this. I'm not, okay. So how do I now move past this feeling? So once you name it, then you can say, you can use your tapping technique, which is from your index finger, and you can do that. Okay, and then the tapping technique, and you can calm down. You can say to yourself, breathe in, breathe out. I know what it is. I am in control. It isn't happening to me now. Okay, until you've calmed down. For different people, it means different things, Ilham. Um, it's not as easy as it sounds, because most people is gonna say that just sounds, no, it's not gonna work for me. I'll rather just put water on my face. However, being resilient in that moment, putting water on your face is going to help you temporarily. It's not going to solve the problem. So we need to understand that, because of where our anxiety started to where we've come, there must be another pathway after that. It doesn't just end there. And that's the part we need to embrace. That yes, we have gone through um, this experience, and it is your experience, whichever way you want to name it. It's your experience. How you navigate that experience and pathway is completely up to you. So learn to love who you are, embrace who you are, but let go of the pests and the anger and the torment, because you can get through it. You can. With mindfulness and resilience, you can get through anxiety, you know?
You're saying that now, but like you say, like if somebody's going through something or something traumatic just happened to them, you feel like it's the end of the world. You feel like
Yes.
there's no way out. Like, all these, like they were saying in the description, like these worst case scenarios come to mind, and it's very difficult to see a way out or to see, oh, in a year's time I'm gonna feel better, because everything that you're feeling is so overwhelming. And if no one's
Yeah,
been through a traumatic thing, then you can't really understand. You can try and understand, but you can never understand unless you've gone through something traumatic. It really is a
absolutely.
very, very overwhelming feeling where you feel helpless and you feel like, I'm never going to make it out of this situation, or what is going to happen to me. It is truly, truly, I've experienced some things, and it is really like you don't see a way out. You don't see a tomorrow. You don't see in a year's time. You just feel everything in one moment. And sometimes that
Yes,
moment can last for long, Nadia. You can be, it's like I call it
yes,
like a pit.
yes,
You feel like you're stuck in this pit for so long, and like everyone around you is just like, oh, you must just get over it and you must just like move on with your life. But if you don't have a person to help you,
mm,
and you can read as many self-help books as you want to. If you don't have someone to help you, you will feel like that for longer. And it is such a terrible thing to feel for so long. Like,
yeah,
and once you
yeah,
start seeing results in your emotional behavior, you feel some sort of lightness after a while, and it becomes lighter and
yes,
lighter and lighter. And eventually you never get rid of that feeling. It's always there with you. But like what you've said in so many of your episodes that you've done with us is that you never forget, but it gets easier. And I
yeah,
think for
yeah,
those that maybe have gone through something traumatic recently, you just need to take the first step and find your fit.
yeah,
Once you've decided, okay, I need help, don't just accept anybody as your therapist. Don't just accept
mm,
anybody in your life, because they can re traumatize you, even if they are a psychologist or whoever they are. You need to find the right fit, because it is not about medication, it is about healing. It is about
yeah,
finding peace with what happened to you and to move on from that so that you can live a nice quality of life. And I
Yeah,
think what anxiety is like the remembrance of that time in that moment and like going back to all those feelings that come flooding back. And what I think you
absolutely.
trying to teach us is to, when you go through that, manage it. You always say it is
Mm,
not unmanageable. You need to learn to manage your
yeah,
emotions, and it is so much at
yeah.
one time. It really can feel like there's no tomorrow. But let us get into
Yes.
this question, because how do you differentiate between anxiety symptoms and underlying blockages, whether it's spiritual or emotional? Because sometimes you feel like, okay, no, I'm moving on, but there's like this block in you that you can't get past, and you feel like you need like a detox or something, like to get past this block. 'Cause sometimes you feel like, okay, no, I'm fine. But then you may be starting to get anxiety attacks or panic attacks, and you don't know how to manage it because there might be a blockage. So how do you work through that, Nadia?
So I think you put it perfectly. The blockage is the point in your time where you need to navigate where you're going to go to from where you've come to where you want to go to, and that is why I say naming it is very very important, because panic attacks, you it feels like it lasts forever, but it doesn't though. It doesn't. It's just, it's very debilitating, and it's so overwhelming. Really, it is. I mean, even I've got an anxiety disorder, and like you say, it is one of the worst things to have. But when you have a blockage like that, you need to decide, what is the enlightenment that I want out of this? Um, do I just want to remove the block? Can somebody else remove it for me? What is the type of support system that I need? And most importantly, how do I embrace what I am navigating at the moment for myself? So, for most of us, if you ask a person, what is your purpose? Many people don't know, Ilham. Many people don't know what their purpose in life is. Um, I see it with many people. I will speak to children and I say to them, where do you see yourself in 10 years from now? And many don't know. They don't know where, and that is sad, because even through any form of pain or overwhelming emotions, you should be able to know where you're going. But because of depression, and if you put depression and anxiety or panic attacks together, you don't see that path. You don't see where you're going to end up, because in your mind and in your emotions, nobody understands where you are at. Nobody understands. You feel alone. You don't want to live, so you basically just become routine, you know. And so that is basically what you need to change to find your purpose. um, we can dream of what our purpose needs to be in life, um, but I think that a lot of us doesn't understand the fact that we need to work to get that. We need to put the work in. And until you put the work in, only then you will be able to move that blockage. And the same for enlightenment, you know. Um, Enlightenment holds hope, faith, accountability, responsibility, and faith you don't generate from day to day. It's not something you can grab off the shelves, faith and hope. because when you're in that dark pit, you've been there for so long that you've become comfortable in it. So you carry that little dark pit like a tortoise wherever you go. So here comes one person and they throw down a rope and they say, listen, here's a light up here you can get. What do you fear now? You fear the light. You don't fear the dark anymore because it's become comfortable. And so for enlightenment, you need to go back to that place where you had a relationship with your higher being, whoever that may be for you. And I think once you on that road, and you regain some hope, and it's difficult, Ilham, it's not easy. Once you regain that hope, then that little flicker of light starts. The panic attacks become easy because you can say you can close your eyes, you can start tapping on the front here, on the sides of the face, up here. You can use that tapping method and you can say, I am protected, I am worthy, and just saying 3 words to yourself every single day, it makes such a difference, Ilham, honestly.
I think that does make a difference. I think when you've gone through something traumatic, your mindset changes, and so you become fearful. You live in the negative because you're now living in fear, basically. And so you need to teach
Mm,
yourself and protect yourself because you have to move out of that seed space and
yeah.
to tell you have to kind of relearn positive behavior because you really do live in a it's a very fearful state of mind, and
Mm,
you're worried about can it happen again, and that is where the panic attacks come from because um once you start healing and like the triggers happen, you need to prepare for them. I think that is
yeah.
what we need to tell each other. Prepare for a trigger because it is going to happen. There is no way
Yeah.
it's
And
not going to
also,
happen. It is going to happen. So
yes.
like this is why Nadia is so important is because Nadia teaches you how to manage it and when it happens, what to do. And so
Mm.
like there is so
And
many.
also,
Yes,
um,
Nadia.
also, um, not to have expectations. It's a human thing to grow up and have expectations. But the minute you have expectations of people and they disappoint you, then you're like, I expected her to do this, or I expected him to do that. It's such a big part of society already. But just imagine you didn't expect somebody to bring you a bunch of flowers, and the day comes and here you get this bunch of flowers. It blows you away. But if you expected it was, it's just another bunch of flowers,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So not having expectations as well is a good thing to practice because it causes disappointments for you personally, you know. And also, if you don't have, get yourself a good support structure. If you if you don't, because the one thing with regards to triggers and panic is that is distrust as
Mm-hmm.
well. Distrust as well. I'm having a panic attack. I know now what it is. I've named it. I'm starting to develop moving on. But every time I tell my best friend, then she says, get over it. So if you don't have a support system, go and get knowledge, you know, join places. What can I do in the community? The most blessed thing that we can do for ourselves, for people that goes through panic, is to give. It is the most beautiful thing ever, Ilham, because you know that how you were robbed by and left with trauma. And you don't want to do that to somebody else. You now want to create a space where um, I want to give that person something of me, something of my heart. I want them to think I'm a good person. And so you can start a practice in that. And it makes you feel so good,
Mm.
really,
Mm.
you know.
I think
So
you're right. You must be part of the community, and you don't know who you're gonna bump into at events like here in our system. Where we have like so many events that happen all the time, but like one that a lot of ladies attend is like these Zumba classes, and you don't
yeah.
know who you can meet at the Zumba class, what you can, what relationships you can build, and sometimes okay, I don't like to say you don't have to burden the person with what you've been through, but maybe you can manage a friendship like in the beginning where you
Mm,
don't tell them
mm,
everything about yourself. Just let them be a friend to you. Just let them enjoy
mm,
you and you enjoy them. And this is kind of what I also do. I keep people separate in terms of what I give them and what they give me. I don't have to burden you with
mm.
everything that I've been through because I just want you to have a nice time when I'm around and I want to have a nice time.
Yes.
And then I have other friends that know my secrets and that know what I've been through, and they there for my
Yeah.
support. Like you were saying, everybody doesn't have to be your support structure, and everybody doesn't have to
Absolutely.
know what you've been through. Like you can have a fun friend that doesn't know anything that you've
Yeah.
been through, and you can go have fun times with them. And then you can have your foundational friends that know what you've been through
Mm,
and that are more considerate
mm.
towards you. So I also think
Yeah.
you need to once you've been through something traumatic, your life changes because you don't deal
Mm,
with people the way you've dealt with people before. So it is a
yeah.
very, very hard adjustment to make because before most of us were very trusting and open, and now we've been through something, and so now how we operate now is very, very different. And so
Yeah.
that is also to keep that in mind of how to move forward because it's also not
Yes.
everybody is nice. They will take the information and they will use it. I don't want to go into that, but I mean just be careful about
Mm,
how you manage your future, how you
yes.
manage your experiences, and who you trust in the future because you've
Yeah.
now been violated and now you're rebuilding. And be don't be so trusting in giving your personal information to people. With the right people,
Mm,
it can be a blessing and they can help you through things.
yes.
But there are some people that shouldn't know everything about you.
Yeah.
And you have to learn that
Yeah.
discernment, Nadia. You have to
Yeah.
learn that
Absolutely.
discernment. And yeah, so there's like some things that I've also learned in my 40. I'm turning 40 this year, Nadia. So like my 39
Oh,
years on earth.
wow.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you, so now we spoke about managing your anxiety, we spoke about triggers, we spoke about how to like get yourself out of that put and to rebuild. And you gave such good solid advice. But let us talk about like your diet and let's talk about like health wise because to build resilience and to prevent or to manage your relapses like or panic attacks, what role does nutrition and gut health play in anxiety management?
I think it plays a vital role because when you are healthy or when you're eating healthily or exercising, you feel better about yourself. You know, you ideally feel better about yourself. And the fact about that is that you can create little goals for yourself. So I often teach having a time frame and having a timeline. Okay, your time frame and your timeline is a little bit different, but you can start. You have your long-term goals and you have short-term goals. So, so if you want to change what's happening on the inside, now remember you have your mind, you have your body, and you have your soul, right? And mindfulness is based on the connection of those three things. And I'm sure you're going to agree with me, Ilham, that um, mentally you need to be stable, emotionally, you need to know how to regulate and feel balanced. And physically, we need to be more healthy because we're living in a society where it's KFC and it's McDonald's. Everything is fat based, everything is oil based. I generally don't like deep fried stuff. Now and again, I'll have some slap chips. I'll have like about 4 or 5. But we're living in a society where fast food is the way to go because we've become lazy. And that's the bottom line. We have become lazy. We're also living in a time where people are holding down 2 jobs,
Mm.
you know, so they don't have time to come and cook for their families. That then becomes, I'm going to sit in front of the TV and eat and not at the table. So what do you lose? You lose quality time with your family where you can be talking with the TV off and the phones away. So there already your emotional aspect is challenged, right? Your quality of life is challenged. Um, Mommy phones home. I'm not coming home. Dad and I are eating out. You guys can order pizza. Instead of making frozen meals, cook 1 pot of food on a Monday or 2 pots of food, divided up, freeze it. So if you can't make it home, that you can tell your kids it's there. So there's a lot of things, but like I say, Ilham, our society has become very lazy. And because of that laziness and neglect, we've neglected our bodies and our minds and our emotions because it all goes into one. So yeah, that is the way I see it. For me, I would want to, if I counsel, I ask people to set themselves short term goals because you don't know where they're at mentally or emotionally. And short term goals I would normally set something for them or teach them how to set a better routine for themselves.
That's a good
Yeah.
starting point. Find out where you are, but I suggest you go see somebody. Nadia is available. She's a consultant in psychology. Nadia, we at the last minute of our show. How can people contact you, and what advice do you have or motivation do you have for somebody who's going through something traumatic?
The advice I would say is you are not alone. You are not alone. There's a lot of us that battles with the same problems, and you just need to find your tribe. You uh, know that your journey is yours to follow, but you also need to be responsible for that journey.
You have 30 seconds, Nadia.
That
How do
that
people
is
contact you?
064 691 6515.
Thank you so
WhatsApp
much.
probably.
Thank you so much for
Thank
your
you,
time. You don't know
Ila.
how you change in the community. Some of us struggle in silence, and you are really bringing out so many people's thoughts, and you're really motivating them online. So definitely keep up the good work, Nadia, and we'll see you next week. And
You,
have a
Ila.
blessed week.
Thank you.
And keep up your
Thank
health
you, you
journey.
too.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Macy.